The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. Sorry for being a few minutes late today, guys. Just not feeling that well. Joe's going to join me today and help me out. We're going to talk a little theory. He had some stuff going on. Also, he went to another mine site. His Wi-Fi sucked over there, so we weren't able to get a connection and do it this weekend. But he did take some pictures of some cool stuff that he did over there, and some of the cool stones that he got, man, they're really beautiful. He's got this nice long-looking one that's blue, and it's really good-looking thing, man. So what's going on, everybody? Take a second here, guys. Sorry, like I said, I am super late, and I'm sorry. Here's my my podcast channel, guys. So just put it up here, the link for you guys in case you want to check it out. Right on. All right, give me 1 second and we'll pull up wow, sorry, way behind. Joe, what's up?
Hey everybody, happy Monday.
Dude, I wish it was a happy Monday, man. Thank you for coming in and helping me out with this today.
Yeah, of course, man. You know I'm always glad to hang out and talk about stuff. Probably be wrong about half of it, but this is why we're here.
Oh man. So tell me, Joe, hey, real quick, you have those pictures of those
you know what? I only took a first of all, let me share real quick. So you know, good donations were coming in and everything like that, and toward the mining membership that I want. So I want to keep the mining up, because I want to do it, but I also want to share with you guys, right? So I'm trying to do other mining trips that are not at that place, because that place is pretty expensive, you know, to go and to join. And I want to make sure that if I'm taking donations, that's for a full-blown year's worth of getting out there and digging, you know, get good content out of it. So this yesterday, I went out to another local mine, which is a lot less expensive, which is cool, you know, and it was a cool place, but it was pouring rain out. I had absolutely no cell service, and I had to bring my dog, which generally isn't a big deal, but he wasn't having any of it. So the entire situation was not super well documented. I didn't stay the whole time either because my dog was freaking out. So that was the thing too. But I did find a couple of good crystals there. Nothing big, nothing crazy. But I could tell that that place had a lot of potential. So that was, you know, really a place that I look forward to getting back to. And it looked like the place, because it's also a campsite, it looked like they also had Wi-Fi. So next time I go there, if I'm going to do a stream, now at least I know no service. Maybe I can get the Wi-Fi password and log in. That way we could all keep linked up and stuff like that. So I didn't really take a ton of pictures since I didn't get a ton of stuff. I got like a small handful of some broken crystals, not much different than I did last time. I got one decent sized one, and then I actually got I think it's inside, and I could grab it because it's very quick. But I got one beautiful piece that I'll try to show you. It was two decent sized crystals coming out of like the matrix that it was in.
Mhm.
And on the matrix, it was all druzy quartz, and it because of the matrix is like dark gray, black. You know, the druzy looks black, and it's just very, very shiny. I tried taking pictures of it, and it just I need to get the lighting different or better for it because it's like picks no justice all day. But yeah, let me go grab that real quick. I'll show you.
Okay.
Come on. All right. So I guess we'll start off with some of the general fragments that I got. So I was able to get pretty much a handful of quartz, and I still need to clean it off. It's still got kind of some of the rock that it was attached to on there. But, you know, nothing crazy with too many faceted ends. There's a couple little faceted pieces in there that maybe have like 3 or 4. But good quality quartz, and I'm saving this actually to be one of the components in an orgonite that I want to make. This was really my favorite piece that I found that I was telling you. There we go. See if I can't. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so you could see the 2 crystals kind of growing out of there, and all where my finger is right there and around it is all micro little tiny druzy crystals. In real life, like when the light hits it, that whole entire bottom like sparkles and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But
you definitely have to get some good pictures of that.
yeah, but I mean, it just looks really nice, kind of just like, you know, as a specimen, like standing on, you know, like up like that. It's not super big, but I thought it was cool. So I'll definitely be going back to that place. I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. And
Here,
again,
let me pull up.
inexpensive.
Sorry, Joe. Let me pull up the pictures you sent me online while you're talking. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so this place is a little bit different because there's not like a big open rock face that you could crack into and stuff. If you want to get into that stuff, you have to like dig yourself a trench and get into it. They have a lot of stuff that they pull out with the machine, but that's stuff that people are going to be picking through pretty much every single day. So that was the best piece the like picture that I could get of that particular piece.
Yeah, it looks smoky under the white right there.
Yeah, it's like it's all black jersey under there, and it's very nice. Like I said, in person, it really, really shines. And the crystals are probably much more well formed than the pictures want to suggest too. They're just really clear, so it's not really picking up on the dimension there.
Let's see. We got. Here's one that you had.
Yep, that one had, I think, four sides faceted on one side, and then the rest of it was kind of, I don't know if it broke or if it was just attached to the rock that way when it grew. But I had to finagle it out of a rock, and when I hit it with the hammer, the rock broke, and there it was. So I didn't see any other pieces of it though. So yeah, but
look at this one.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't have the kyanite on me. It's in my truck. But yeah, I found when I was randomly just going through like some sediment and stuff like that, I randomly saw something kind of catch my eye. I was like, what the hell? It was like covered in mud, and it turned out to be a piece of kyanite. It wasn't attached to anything. But that was really probably the find of the day.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. It's there's not much you could do for it other than, you know, spiritual purpose, so to speak. But yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, I like it, man. That blue looks nice.
It's very, very blue. It's also somewhat transparent too, so some light does shine through it.
Oh, nice. You'll have to, when you get one of those Tesla coils, put it behind it and let it light shine through it and see what we get. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
I'm telling you. Yeah, we'll be doing that all not all too in the far in the future, you know. Yeah,
Right
so
on.
that was my mining trip. It was not too much to report, but I'm out there doing it. So
Right on, man. Well, we'll keep you out there, man, if we can. Get you some
yeah, man.
donations out there. I put it in the chat. Here you guys go. Help Joe Go Mining. Just click on that page right there, man. Check it
Yeah,
out. Throw a couple bucks his way. We can get him out there digging some more.
I appreciate it. Everything everyone's already done, so generous, and you know, again, I just I like going out there and sharing this stuff with you guys too. And you know, I want to bring you guys out there with me because breaking the stuff open and then seeing it like, oh wait, what's this, and showing you, and then actually getting it out and having it in your hand is, you know, it's really something cool. So
Oh, it's exciting. Yeah.
yeah, man.
So, Ron, okay, Joe, what are we going to talk about today?
All right, so uh, I'd opened up a can of worms with a couple people on this subject, and the more I think about it, the more that I think that there's some validity to it.
Okay.
So I figured it would be an interesting point of conversation to start off at today, at least. So the principle of the idea uh, stems from, and I guess for purpose of giving the example of what I'm describing, would work off of how you set up your primary and secondary, and then throw it into resonance with other secondary coils. Now, there's more than one way to skin the cat on this. That's what it boils down to. So, as long as you're able to, um, you know, put out a frequency and throw other areas of something into oscillation and resonance, that's sort of the key to what the concept. But what the idea sort of is to run your primary and secondary at a resonant frequency of a particular uh, either element or compound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this case, like we'll use quartz as an example. It's the example I gave the other day when I was on Mike's channel. You would tune everything to the frequency of quartz or silica dioxide. Then what you would do is you would arrange secondary coils in the configuration of the molecular structure of what you're trying to emulate. So the theory here is that by having the proper resonance and the proper lattice, that the field interactions of each secondary in the arrangement would interact with each other the same way that they would in matter at the molecular level, basically making a macroscopic version simulated of the element or material that you're trying to emulate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the context of quartz, quartz probably tends to be one of the most, if not the most interesting ones in regards to setting something like this up. Because, okay, well, what's the difference? You made yourself a virtual crystal, all right? Well, remember something. If it shares all the same properties as quartz crystal and a quartz crystal lattice, and it's in resonance and everything ought to be analogously the same, that means that it would probably also have piezoelectric properties. So I'm sure everybody here is familiar at this point. Like, if you're not, bear with me. But, you know, piezoelectric property is when you put that type of crystal under pressure, it's going to create a voltage. And the more pressure you put it under, the higher the voltage count is. And that's how they use quartz a lot of times in electronics, is because it has this variable voltage that it's able to produce through its crystal lattice structure based on the amount of pressure put on the lattice. So if you have this and it's virtual and it doesn't have any real walls, but it has a field that surrounds it, the idea with it would be that when something applies pressure to the field, that it would actually start to build more voltage. And the harder you push, the more voltage it creates, which effectively, again, it's all a theory, all of it, right? That would technically result in it being a force field, a low energy state force field that has a high potential output. But that also means that if you put it under constant pressure too, that you should be able to extract that with the conductor, the same as you would with a regular piece of quartz and like a barbecue lighter. You could capture that current in that situation. And if you were to hook it up to like a capacitor, you should be able to charge that capacitor over time with the current from the piezoelectric. So again, now it goes from a force field situation where it could potentially affect something entering into it at applying pressure to the lattice structure, but also it just means that if you induce it into a constant state of pressure, that it should have a huge output of energy, much more than what's put in, especially since you're only running it off of one primary and secondary.
Interesting. So let me ask you this then. Is the pressure have to be forcing it together, or can it be a pressure wave?
Well, I believe that it could easily be a pressure wave. Absolutely. Absolutely, because it's a virtual skin at that point. And the same as that when you excite a piece of quartz crystal with an electrical current, it goes under stress and produces a greater current too. That's how it's used in chips.
I had Mike Faraday tell me one time that he took a piezo, put it next to a piece of quartz, or like taped it on there. Stuck it on there. It's a little disc, and then he scrolled through his frequency generator, and to see if he couldn't get the right frequency and get that pulse to hit there. He said when you hit the right frequency, it pulsed it, and the the quartz started to shake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was asking, because if it's just a pressure wave, like a pulse, so then you could just take a primary, stick the quartz inside of it. If you knew the frequency of the quartz itself, you can adjust the primary to the correct resonance frequency to it, pulse it.
Well, I'll go one stage different. If you simulate a piezoelectric, okay, but then inside of the field, you take an actual piezoelectric, like a nice quartz crystal, and you put the quartz crystal under the strain of the field that is in the simulated crystal, that would probably be enough to create a back and forth disturbance between the two, right? Because you'd have the simulated piezoelectric stimulating the actual crystal that actually then creates a voltage that then would dissipate into and therefore put pressure on the stimulated one, which would then build. So it would be a back and forth thing, and they would fall into resonance with each other. So it wouldn't necessarily be like some kind of out of control buildup with no end. It would just be, it would almost be pulse in this situation, because it would be to the frequency of the quartz and the simulated piezo. So it would kind of chart, like if you were to get that energy into a capacitor, it would kind of come in like the same as a waveform.
It's interesting.
I mean, again, it's a theory, but what about that theory sort of raised another question to me was, if you were to make like certain compound molecules stimulated, right? So if you were to create the molecular structure, let's just say of like, I don't know, hydrochloric acid, for instance, right? And then you were to create the another molecule, let's say these are on boards, just for the simplicity of this mind experiment. And then you were to create like calcium carbonate, right? What happens when you bring those two together? Is there neutralization and then a secondary that would result in like a salt, for instance, formation? Like, would you get the field of a salt molecule at that point in a virtual sense? Like something that if you were to take measurements or visualize it would represent the chemical outcome of the actual chemical reaction and what that implies.
That's interesting. So you want to create a resonance and then have other things resonate with it based on their frequency.
Correct.
Okay,
It's basically just replicating it at a larger scale.
So yeah, we're on the same track here, Joe.
Yep.
In what I was looking at yesterday and what you're saying today, we're right there together.
Mhm.
So I put this on the members thing. I went ahead and showed how to take a coil and put every frequency that was resonant in that coil up to the discharge point. Here's something that fascinated me with it. When I did it, I was looking to build 3 extra coils. I have the normal number 2 coil. I want to build 3 other coils to go with it, and each one has to resonate. But based on the height of them, you get a certain frequency, right? So here's what I discovered. The lower the frequency is the full height of it. The higher the frequency, it goes down in size, right?
Mhm.
Because less wire has a higher frequency. So it comes down, which I guess I should have known, but I was kind of taken back and go, okay, well, seems strange, but that's okay. Strange is good. So I mapped it out and I came out with 3 extra coils. And I go, okay, let's take those 3. So I have one this big, and then one this big, and then this one. So every single one of them has a resonance point in the one I'm looking at.
Mhm.
So here's why it gets me. When we start looking at the ring, it starts off small and gets real big. Most people would think, well, it starts off at a low hertz and then builds its way over to a bigger one and then discharges. But that's not the way it's working. It starts at the high hertz and then builds itself to a low hertz and then discharges. Kilohertz, I should say, because Tesla clock.
Well, right, because and that does make sense because it's getting low frequencies. Yeah, it is very, very difficult just generally. I mean, there's a lot of power in low frequency without there being massive amplitude because of the massive wavelength. And that's what it all boils down to is frequency and wavelength are directly correlated with one another. And, it makes total sense why you would need much less reps, so to speak, to get a higher frequency to pick up on it because the wavelength is able to affect that small amount of wire and interaction because that wavelength fits within that small area.
Mhm.
But you get these bigger wavelengths, it takes a much larger area to be able to capture the effect of that wavelength.
Which makes perfect sense. So
Right.
I figured there would be a standard amount between each one. Between each one, say it was 250 kilohertz, it'd be between each one, right? And then you can calculate it out. But it didn't work that way. So here's the thing. The first one was right around 350. The second one was about 240. Then it got to 257. So I'm looking at this thing and going, why is this off? What is the whole reason it's off on all the numbers? Because you'd think it build normally in stages. Each individual stage, like double or halves or by a certain amount each time. But the pattern wasn't there.
No, I don't know if it's that the pattern's not there or not, but in my head, the way that I see that build up is fairly linear. Like it would build up gradually without necessarily a jump.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's between resonance points. So every time you hit a resonance point, it drops off, comes back, you know what I mean, builds up, and then hits the next one where it's the very highest value. So
Yeah.
it's gradual. After it has a drop off, it gradually and goes up. Here's what I found. There's two factors. There's the resistance and the compression. Okay, so that's one factor. The second factor was the duration of the ring.
Mm.
And I didn't consider this when I started looking at this originally. So it matters how long it's going to ring in that frequency in order to get to the next one. And then it's a big long ring in the very high, kilohertz. And then as you get to the lower kilohertz, the amount starts to drop. And then there is a pattern on how much it drops at that point. So
Okay.
I ended up, you know what I mean, with a physics equation.
I was about to say, man, you beat me to that punch. I was like, these observations are exactly what you need to be able to formulate an actual equation with it, which is great.
Yeah. Dude, it tripped me out. There was a picture that I saw from it. So let me pull this up and I'll share it. It was so interesting because we had just talked about crop circles, right?
Mhm.
And we identified this one as pi. But check this out. It matches the same thing I'm seeing in the coil.
Ah, the drop offs. Okay. Linear, then spike or drop.
And as it goes around, it gets bigger. You see what I mean? It grows because it's widening the amount of turn when it turns. We don't see that right away here, but you know that it does it, right? So as you go out, it goes a little more. So I'm not saying that that's not what this is. This is probably pi, but it reminds me of the exact way that it's building out. It's not linear. It's not going one thing to the next. It's hit it, duration, then a slight drop off, and then it starts to escalate up, which means the circuit gets a little bit bigger as it goes around. You know what I mean? Because it has to make the next wrap
that makes
around.
sense because as it goes around and it's interacting with itself. So at that initial point of interaction, it would be logical to figure that there would be some kind of anomaly before the next action. It's sort of like, a fist hitting somebody's face before they hit the ground. Like you're going to see one thing before the other. But the other, that doesn't mean that the other isn't inevitable. Well, if you're me.
So check it out in this circle right here. The second layer in. So we see the small first part and the second layer. It's actually going back towards the center before it goes up.
Right.
So it's the exact drop off you get when you go through resonance, and then boom, it goes up and then hits the next point. It's interesting in how that works on this, but it's also working when you're dealing with the coil. It's telling you the same thing. It was just absolutely amazing how that turns out. So anyway, that was
cool that you made that connection.
Yeah, it kind of changes things, huh? When you start seeing stuff like this show up, you start wondering, you know what I mean? Did we miss something? Like we all wrote it off as, hey, it's a set of numbers, but pi actually just goes in a circle like this and keeps going. It doesn't stop and drop off and do all those things like that. That's not what pi does. Okay? It actually is just circle, 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 circle with numbers. Now what we're looking at is the difference in it goes on, off, all the way around. Anyway, just to get back to what you were saying, it also works when you do with a crystal when you have like 5 different frequencies in there and you start looking at it, you go, well, there's a resonance point in between each single one of them, just like there is that coil. And as long as we can match that, we can turn the whole thing on. If we're hitting one, though, it may not turn it all the way on. You know what I mean? We got to hit a couple.
Well, it makes you realize that if you were to scale this that molecular structure of the secondaries, if you were to scale that way down, because it's at such a high frequency, right? So that plays directly in with what you're saying. You could go small if the frequency is high, right? So if you're trying to match the native frequencies of quartz or close to it, right? You could probably actually have something like 3D printed, for instance, that's a crystal lattice structure that literally just has like a pin that has the wire curled up around it, and then have it in the full blown lattice structure. So you can have more than one molecular layer and then actually build it up that way. Then you just throw that whole entire thing into resonance, and possibly that entire 3D printed simulated circumstance would have the effect that I'm describing potentially. I mean, I don't really know. I wouldn't want to put my finger in it. Like, do you want to be the one to put the pressure in it? I mean, maybe throw a baseball at it first or something. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It just tripped me out. So I also saw another device, Joe, that was one testicle in the center, and then it had like 6 of them on the outside of it, and each one was a different height. And now I think I understand why. He literally resonated the center one, and all the rest of them turned on all the way up it, but it made that vortex and what he was looking for. It makes all the sense in the world now, man. It was like mind blowing. It's like, oh, I got it at once. You know what I mean? Because I sat there, Joe, and I was crunching numbers, dude. I'm over here doing the math on it and going, okay, this isn't right. This isn't right. Algebra isn't working here. I need something more. So I go, the function of the equation, you know what I mean? Start working it out, and I go, okay, now we have something, you know? So.
Well, it becomes very humbling when you realize that the entire world around you is basically like pointillism art. Everything has these fields, everything has these structures to it. They're all interacting with one another. Maybe they're just a little bit different in their color, so to speak, to run with that analogy, right? But at the end of the day, it's still a dot on the piece of paper that's just all interacting with every other dot. And then when you back up from it, you realize this is a full-blown real picture thing. You don't know that it's made up of tiny little pixels, so to speak. And that's reality for you. I mean, it's crazy to think that, but that's how it goes. That's what you see when you look under a microscope, and it's what you see when you send a satellite into outer space to take a picture of, the cosmos.
That's interesting. Oh. Well, we're making some big connections here, Joe. Like it's gonna get real. Like most people are stuck in the same thing all the time. It's just this pushing the envelope doesn't allow you to do that. So it's gonna build up real big on us. Remember when Liz told us it was a combination lock?
Oh yeah, I remember.
I'm looking at this as the same way, man. You turn it, it clicks, it drops off, and then it goes and it clicks and it drops off. It's like the same thing, man. We're finding something much bigger here.
Well, it makes you wonder sometimes, like, how much Hollywood actually knows about these things, and like, the Illuminati saying the quiet part out loud and stuff, or something like that, right? Because I can't pinpoint a movie, but I definitely remember seeing like they're trying to like open the cave or something like that, and it's like an organ, and they have to press and hold certain keys of that organ to play the sound to open the door, and it's exactly what you're saying, and it's exactly what you're saying.
So hold on. It's not just a testicle; it's a bifilar. If not bifilar, you not get the same result. Well, the thing is, when you take 2 different style coils and you put them in resonance, that's the problem here. It's not a bifilar. Bifilar works differently. Bifilar takes the same amount of pressure on both sides, and you're able to put things in the middle and light them up, right? That would be a solid round coil here, and you do that. And yeah, the pressure right there, you put a plate in there and you can be able to take a capacitor and fill that capacitor just by the pressure in itself. This is doing it by taking two different forms of energy and forcing them together in order to make it. It's those two, a bifilar and a Tesla coil, are two totally different things just by the way that they're built. They're not the same, and they cannot be compared as the same. And even Tesla knew that. So, yeah, they're not. Sorry, they don't work in the same manner
Yeah.
altogether. You would have a better
everything
chance
has
of.
its use. Everything has
That-
its use, you know. I guess.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not. I've never seen them the same. Because they're not working the same. The one that I have, by the way, the bifilar that I built, the two wires are together like this as they go around. So it causes a problem because where you pull the energy out is right here in between. That's the problem with it. So it's already under pressure right there, but you're getting no value out of it because you can't get in this layer because they're stuck as two speaker wires as one. So that's why you have to build the individual coil with the other one. And we actually saw Inventor 3 when I did that interview with him, and he had those 3 plates set up, and he had the 2 that came down to the center one, and he was adjusting them like this. As the more pressure he put on it, the more capacitance it built in that center plate, which was really cool. Love that design, by the way. It had no metal in the table at all. It was all, glued together. It was just pure craftsmanship. So sorry, Joe. Go on.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it's all good. I mean, another train of thought too with that virtual molecule, just in a more solid state form, could be as simple as printing the molecular structure on a piece of silica on a circuit, and just having like spiralitic dots in the molecular pattern in a conductor, and then throwing those dots into resonance, and then actually stacking the layers of silica up on top of each other to build dimension. So then you could actually have something solid state that acts as a molecule potentially.
So let me ask you, why would you need a virtual quartz when you can use regular quartz? Can you describe the difference?
Well, sure, because I okay. Why would you need might not be the right question, but I want to tackle that question, right? So it's not really why would you need as much as it is proof of concept. Okay. Once you understand that at the molecular level, it could be scaled up virtually and have a similar effect. Okay. That proves a lot about reality. Okay. What that also does is it opens the door to other ideas that stem off of it. Like, for instance, if you create a virtual molecule out of these resonance patterns, and then you're able to throw this in there, for instance, put coherent light into it, and then actually, get matter out of that reaction, let's just say that's in resonance with that whole thing. I mean, that's wildly out there, very woo and speculative, but guess what? That's sort of how these things work.
So hold on. Let me clarify here. Are you saying the virtual particle is a plasmoid or a ball lightning type? Is that what you're saying? Instead of doing it the way crystals do it, you're creating each one of those as that type of...
Oh, okay, cool. So we know how crystals build. Okay.
Mhm.
And I said this is one of these things that are very interesting about crystals. And one of the reasons that in this example, quartz is important. It's a repeating lattice structure at the molecular level. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, how quartz is formed is out of a brine solution, a high silica solute solution. And there's other stuff in that soluble solution also. But despite that, sometimes, I mean, yeah, you get inclusions sometimes and things like that. But you could have an unpure silica solute and still end up with a pretty perfect quartz crystal. The reason is because all the like molecules of silica dioxide in that case, okay, are attracted and self-structuring to one another in that repeating pattern of the quartz crystal. Right.
Okay.
So if you know that it has self-organizing properties and it's able to also pull in, attract, and accumulate things that are that are similar to itself out of a solution of a lot of other things, right? Then that means that in this virtual sense, that if you were to put light, let's just say, or some other field into it, okay, where it also is in that resonance, it might actually start accumulating that energy also and crystallizing it, so to speak. It's just an analogous, and it's a guess. It's probably out there in the woo. It's probably 100 people out there that tell me why that couldn't occur. But I mean, you have to understand kind of the train of thought. You're simulating the same exact thing, just at a bigger level.
Well, it's interesting. I find it more interesting. Like, we can resonate different things in the room based if we find the frequency of it, and we have the coil in oscillation and resonance, then we can do it. But to do like a plasmoid or something outside of it is fascinating, because it reminds me of the orbs of Ashton's plane
Yep.
that he always talks about. And if you get each one of those resonating properly and it accumulates the energy by pulling it in, now you have a lot of energy in order to create a vortex. That's fascinating.
For sure. And okay, and one other interesting aspect of this, and just multi-secondary resonant arrays to begin with, okay, is that you have to remember that the number one thing that'll screw you if you're trying to create too much energy is your material.
Mhm.
Okay. So how do you avoid the highest concentrations of energy from ruining your material and basically ruining the effect? How do you do that? Well, the answer is spacing, right? So if you have multiple resonant interacting points, okay, that are working on themselves within their capacity and limits, and then have field interaction zones, and then grow into the bigger field of all of them combined, okay, the greatest energy potentials are going to be in the compression zones of the center, which they're spaced away from. Okay.
Mhm.
So it allows you to have this ability to achieve a higher degree of potential without nuking your materials, and ruining the ability to extract.
Okay. So, well, that makes sense, because when we saw Thunderstorm Generator, they had the different size spheres, and each one was set to a specific distance in order to not cancel it out, in order for each one to be able to do its job. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Yeah, it's sort of like a buffer zone that's being protected by its own internal eddy currents of compression. So yeah, and then whatever it throws off is in a diffuse state. So its expanse from the outside of the overall larger torus, is in a diffuse state that is basically limited by its own capacity. And that functions, because if you just have one that's functioning that way, they all will. It's
Okay.
center compression that you're looking for.
So let's take this a step further. The Thunderstorm Generator works on several spheres, right? And those spheres resonate together. So in our Earth, we would look at the ozone layer as one, the Earth's surface is another, and then the compression zone being in the center of those. So you're looking to make a plasmoid inside there. Therefore, you have to create some sort of pocket inside there that holds it in compression, in order to have the amount of energy stay there and move around. It's going to fly wherever it wants.
Well, so
And
that comes back down to like the Merkaba machine that he was building, and why the geometry of that was as it was, and why it was all vectoring the energy into central direction, was for that compression in the center away from all the other points. I mean, at least that's sort of what I got out of it.
well, that's not going to work in the size of the world. And we've seen that if we're going to say that Ashton's right about the three orbs, then it has to be able to form in the atmosphere of the Earth, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, we can do
There's
it.
no reason. I mean, we've gone over 100 times how that could potentially occur.
Well, I'm just saying, based on what you're saying with the virtual particles, man, we would have to find a way to make that work. Not in a little box, not in a vacuum chamber, but out in the open for each one to form. I'm going to say that each one has the ability to form, no problem, if you have the correct construct of it, and it's different types of energy in order to do it. And if you can combine those, you can create it, and you can blast it right out of, like, say, a gun or something like that, and have it just come out already ready to go.
Okay, I'm going to draw an analogy that I believe to be true. Okay.
Okay.
And this will bring this to the next level, and it's not disconnected from what you're saying. Okay. So if you look at any single element on the elemental chart, okay, you deal with the electrons and protons going around a center atom, right? Now, who's to say that the center atom isn't just that neutral compression zone in the center, that null zone, and that all your electrons and protons aren't just nodes and antinodes of a waveform, because that's how I see it. So when you start thinking about that, and then you realize that it's a quantifiable amount of electrons and protons, now that's in direct relationship to a specific frequency. So all that is a toroidal magnetic, actually. So is it all magnetism? Well, it is and it isn't, right? So you have a spiraling wave pattern around a central point of compression, which is the analogous to the atom in that case. So anytime you have these toroidal flow patterns in resonance and at a specific frequency with a center null zone, basically what you're dealing with is a molecule in itself, which is why it's an analogy. Direct. Okay. You're actually getting a full molecule effect with a central null zone point and all the rotation of electrons and protons around that central point when you bring something into resonance with a toroidal flow pattern. So that said, can you do this? It's just bigger. It's just bigger because it's there, and you can like the power's a little bit bigger, the throw's a little bit bigger, so things don't have to be as close together in order to gain these interactions.
Well, you said like the Merkaba machine. They also have the machine they built for NASA that has all the frequencies going together like this. You know what I mean, in it, and they put a styrofoam ball in there, and in the center is where it likes to stay between all of the different frequencies coming in, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, that would be like the first step of building a plasmoid. Put it where there's a center point at, so that everything can accumulate around it, right? Center, build a field, put it in there, make sure the field on the inside can get plenty of energy inside of it and can stay in that manner. To do that, you saturate the chamber with static and let it flow into there and stay in there, and then evaporate all the static on the outside and let it keep in that single point in the center. But then again, that goes to what is a null zone? Because I don't think null zone means there's nothing there. I think it means there's a bunch of nothing surrounding one singularity.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. So you have a singularity and then nothing around it. Everything breaks and shreds apart. You know what I mean? But that one singularity is right there, and it takes all the energy from the room. So that's the way I see it anyway. And if you see it that way, it's easier to build.
Yeah. Well, I guess one day we'll see.
That's like building a little.
Here's another little one for you, right? If you were to bridge the gap and create plasma out of hydrogen, Okay. And then you were to introduce a new resonance to that plasma. If you were to compress the plasma back into a form, would it turn back into hydrogen, or would it turn into an element more consistent with the resonance that you put that plasma at?
Okay, so it's going to be where the resonance at. That's what I think. Yeah, got to be that.
Yeah. Which,
I think. Hold on. I think hydrogen has one resonance point, and I think
correct.
that's what it is. And then when you get to the different molecules, they have multi-resonance points. The more
Uh-huh.
resonance points that they have, the more transmutation you get in the element.
Right.
My
So what
thought.
happens when you have three, again, for simplicity, there are 100 different ways to do it, but for simplicity, coils. You have three coils and three different sets of resonance, all under compression with the plasma, with the hydrogen plasma. How does it organize? It organizes into a new element. Or if it's a single resonance, then it organizes itself into yet another element. That's it. Like, that's what I think, at least. I mean, or does that mean it's going to be dropping, silver coins out of it or something, or blobs of quartz or whatever you're doing? No, but at the particle level, so to speak, at the molecular level, you'd be condensating at least that much. So if it's silica, if it's silica, then it's silica. You'd end up with possibly a table full of silica dust.
I saw an experiment, Joe. A guy took a ball jar, one of those canning jars, and he drilled out both sides and put an anode and cathode in it, but he created the singularity of the ball of plasma right in the center. And he was able to get it to glow and everything. So, but I think he had the one of the sides that came out and was wired in there. So it was more like stirring the jar, I think, instead of just holding it by itself. But think about this. See if we put that one wire energy I work with in there, right? And then I put the static electricity on the outside and the inside of it. So I put it in there just to open up this much, right? And that's all the energy I'm going to put into it. So the field's only like so big. Then I put in the static where it goes on both sides of it. And then, or inside and outside. Then I remove the outside layer. I could probably get that thing to sit in a plasmoid state where that energy holds it in. And let me tell you, there's not only a temperature difference in it, there's a frequency difference in it. One's resonating in the low hertz, you know what I mean? And the other one's up in the kilohertz to megahertz. And it's the difference in the two that's holding it together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, anytime I'm thinking about plasmoid formation, I need to think, like, for my own logical sense, I need to always think back to the thunderstorm generator because it does it mechanically. And, that just makes me realize that the critical aspect of creating any sort of plasmoid before you start screwing with the plasmoid, just to get the plasmoid stable, is the ionization, and making sure that it has some kind of consistent charge to it. But it's also the expansion and compression in, intermedia, because it has to have that. It has to have that separation. That's how they force it, is by bubbling it, right? So the only way that they could get it sustained enough through the expansion and compression to actually become stable is by running the gas through a liquid. And, that's kind of where things for us become complicated, because the amount of differential between a gas and a liquid is pretty extreme.
Yeah, but I don't think you need that. I don't think you need it at all.
Well, you need the differential. You don't need the difference
You
in
need
medium. You just
you
need
need
the
the ion. You need the
you need
ionized state.
right. Your ratios have to be far apart so it could be sustained, or else it just go disperse on you and not be stabilized. So
Yeah. So here's where Hutchinson comes in. He's creating the ionized state without the water. He's doing it in that chamber that he has that glows purple on him. He's creating the ionized state in the room because it has less viscosity in air than it does in water. So you don't necessarily need to do what you're saying. He's doing the same thing,
right.
but he's ionizing the air itself.
Well,
So
okay, so that's a good point. Yeah, because in Hutchinson's in the metal experiments where the metal just got all twisted and tangled, right? If I guess the differential could have been created within the matrix of the metal itself just by ionizing some and not others, creating that differential. So I
well, I'm
guess
telling you right now, he had a massive Tesla coil, Joe, and he created a ton of static electricity in that room. I keep telling you that's how you build the field, but that's all he had to do to create the plasmoid. He ionized it, okay, and that was able to allow the stuff to break apart and form. He used the Tesla coil just like I use it, and then he sat there and he created static through those big giant static machines with those big balls on the top. You know what I mean?
yep.
I forget the name, but he did the same thing and then he compressed it in the room so that now as the whole room is filled with all this energy, at any time that any of them took and were able to form a bubble inside there, it formed as a plasmoid in the room. So plasmoids are going to go to where all the steel is, the energy, stuff like that. He didn't have lasers pointed at it to get it there.
Yeah.
That's not what he was doing.
No. Yeah, man. Crazy work. I wish he could talk more freely about it than he can or chooses to or whatever the deal is, because he could really break it wide open just by giving the secret recipe. That's it. I'd
Well,
say.
he did give it. That's the thing. He did give it. He told you what he had, how he built it.
Yeah.
He told you which parts were in there. He wasn't lying to you.
Oh no, I know. Well,
So, and then,
sometimes it's got to be say it for dummies, like the
no, I get it. But I mean, look at what else he worked on. The crystal cell. Why are we looking at crystals? Because we're able to deal with the radiant energy that communicates with the crystal. Why would we look into transmutation in plants? Because the one wire energy does the transmutation in plants. How do you think she gets her weed so good, man? When she does that stuff, his wife, that's how she's doing it. The same
right.
thing when I'm doing with my Tesla coil does the same thing it does with those plants, man. It'll transform and change the sex, and it'll be able to put in there anomalies inside the plant that weren't there before. I mean, this is in ancient Egypt. They did this too.
Right. Well, that's what you were talking about, the protein spikes, and that goes right back to the crop circles too. You get those protein spikes in there.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say, man. He laid it out as clear as he could without crossing that line, saying, hey, this is this experiment I'm working on. This is this experiment I'm working on. And it all ties in all together. I think he gave you everything you needed in doing it, as long as you can understand that he did it in the room and that was his compression value, that was his chamber. So if you're going to do it on a small scale, you have to build a chamber for it.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion on it. I see him doing every single thing that we're doing. We're following along the same path as where he's going. And I can tell you that ionization, I didn't even think about it, but it's happening when I spin those plates, man. I spin those plates, I'm getting that ionization. I get that purple on there. I'm doing it, and I didn't realize that was one of the key factors until you start bringing the energy level down and it's not there.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a whole thing to that, man. That's why I tell you I can write a book on those fields and most people wouldn't understand it. So
Yeah, I mean it's simplistic in what it does and extraordinarily complicated to understand just because it's not something it's a regular part of either what we learn or that you could easily observe without knowing what you're looking for. But the funny thing about it is it's everywhere. So if you look at the natural world around you, these things are happening all the time right in front of your face. You just don't realize it.
yeah, someone was describing the other day the one wire energy is negative static electricity. And in his description of how everything worked was perfect. It was absolutely everything that we talked about and we saw it do, except for I can't get over the fact they call it negative static electricity. The negative I like, that was right. You know what I mean? Compared to where it's put at, but static, I still don't see it.
It's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, I think like anything electrical in nature, it's not really doing anything until it's put to work. Right. So it ends up just being like a potential, so to speak. So arguably, is it static before it's put to work? That's almost impossible to tell because even to measure it, you have to put it to work.
Well, I think there's static coming out of it. I won't deny that to people. I think it's the implosion that happens after it that stops it. So it's like things wanting to come out of it, and then all of a sudden it gets sucked in real quick where it doesn't show the same feel. It transferred just like that because as soon as it wants to go out, you know what I mean? It's pulled back in because it's not just being pumped this way; it's being pumped this way too. You know what I mean? You got to realize that. So
Right.
as soon as that goes, it goes right back in there, and that's why it's working in the center the way it does.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, well, so I say the bifilar coils and testicles are completely different animals in how they work. Because one is like the rodent coil would be more like a bifilar coil because it bounces between wire to wire. You know what I mean? Right there in that resonance point. Testicles work on a whole different principle.
Yeah, you're definitely looking for in a bifilar coil. You're looking for a specific interference pattern that takes place, just like in a rodent coil. The Tesla coil is not about that interference pattern. Tesla coil is all about being able to build resonance. That's the significance of it. It's a nuanced difference, but it's a difference nonetheless, and it all has to just do with the winding.
Well, if you get past there's one type of energy, which some people don't get past, some people just look at Steinmetz and say it's only those two that you get, and that's it, right? Well, it doesn't work in nature, and it damn sure doesn't work when you build things. So, sorry about your luck there. It's not going to work out for you.
Well, I mean, so why don't you build on that? I mean, what other kinds of energy, if not the two?
Well, so okay. Even though you would call it magnetics, right? In the same way I would. Magnetic energy and static energy. You call them two different energies? I mean, they're literally the same thing. They're just a difference between amps, voltage, and frequency.
I mean, I look at it differently because I look at it as whether you want to call it plus and minus, positive and negative, or you want to call it hot and cold. They're the same, but two sides of the same coin. And what comes, all the other effects that come along with its presence and matter are secondary to the charge, so to speak.
Yeah,
So you have the one coin plus and minus, hot, cold, whatever. But everything else that comes about is as a result of that being the initial constituent.
But that's what I'm saying, though. You still see them as two different types of energy. And you're identifying what's going on around them based on that type of energy. If I said it's static, you're thinking, you know what I mean, shock somebody as you're standing in the same room. If I tell you it's magnetic, it means that I'm able to pick up iron with it, something like that. but essentially it's the same energy at two different sides of the scale. What I'm telling people is when you resonate a longitudinal with the transverse, you're going to end up with radiant, which means that you're going to end up with radiation on one side of the scale and on the weak side, radiant energy. That's what's going on here. That's why there's such a big difference here. We have different types of energy. There are 4 different types of energy going on. As you compress radiant energy, you will turn into radiation. That's the whole thing that we don't ever talk about because we know how bad it is, but I also know just sitting in the same room with it, what it's doing. That is definitely radiation because it makes you sick when you do it. I mean, it's just when you get into compression of things, man, you change energies. This is why it's important because if you don't realize that, there are people who have done studies with Tesla coils and stuff, and they didn't realize they were creating radiation, and they killed themselves because they're just trying to make things resonate. They had no idea that they were getting radiation poisoning coming out of it. And within a couple of years of their study, man, they were done. They couldn't survive it. Well, how does that happen out of Tesla coils then? You have to be able to define it. How did you get radiation out of a Tesla coil? Well, there was a secret to it that they didn't tell you. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, and that radiation it's the same as like cosmic radiation. So it's cosmic rays. It's not the same necessarily as like nuclear radiation or anything like that. So it's the same, but it's inherently different. I mean, crazy thing about it is that radiant energy is really just a form of resonant reverberation. So
it's a compression of it. Yeah.
Right. That's all it is. It's just in a reverb state, and it's an oscillation that's being able to be projected more than no distance through air, right?
But that's what I'm saying, though. The more you compress it, the worse it gets for everyone around you. It's the same thing when I talk about the Demon Core, when they had the core of that atomic bomb and they allowed it shut, they compressed it. When they compressed it, it reacted by killing everybody in the room.
Well, you understand that's the result of mid-wave form deconstructive interference. So when you compress something enough and you have deconstructive interference that does not annihilate the entire waveform, some will disperse into, what we would consider a scalar potential loss, if you want to call it that, because it's not being captured. But then what your remnant is basically a bullet.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it becomes similar to like that type of interference would be similar to like a DC or a H waveform, right? Not an H waveform, square waveform. Square waveform. If you only had positive and negative spikes, right? So you had node and antinode spikes, and then mid frequency cancellation. Those are your cosmic rays.
Yeah, well,
like you said,
it also tells you why Edwin Gray had it in a cylinder, and I don't think they built the cylinder right. I've seen a lot of stuff online, and I'm telling you right now, they're wrong. It has to do with type of the energy and how to hold it in. And we did the test in the live shows when I would go in the lab. You can't compress this unless you use mineral oil or something with a high viscosity that you can't get through. And even that only slows it. So that's what I'm saying. When you want to do an Edwin Gray thing and you put this little cheap outside, PVC out there, let me just tell you, it's going to go right through it. It's a joke. It is a literal joke. It goes right through it. So, but say you put some roofing tar on it, right? Very high viscosity. very thick. It takes its time to get through there because it can't get through there. But while it's doing it, it's still compressing the inside. That guy was using radiation to run his device because he understood that it would build compression inside there. Not any different than a cylinder of a motor. It builds compression until you need to use it, and then it exponentially hits into a different type of energy. See, this is why I talk about different types of energy, because you're literally transforming radiation into a usable amperage. That's why. That's
Right.
the difference. And
Well,
it's all about a
the
field
higher
split.
the frequency, the more likely it is to fall into that, that compression situation, because the lower the wave form, the longer the wavelength, the harder it is to impede it in any sort of way. It'll go through almost anything, which is why they use it for the types of communication and stuff, the ELF waves that they do. So yeah, at high frequencies especially, I mean, it doesn't take much to compress that into deconstructed interference and cosmic rays at that
Well,
point.
what it's doing is in resonance, there's two waves, right? Always two waves in resonance. What it's doing is it's removing one wave, okay, of it, and there's only one wave left. When it does that, it turns it into an amperage wave because it drops that frequency by killing the second wave. Killing that second wave drops that frequency really far down, which means a huge amperage pole is pulled out of there. It accumulates around that rod that's in the center in amperage because it no longer can resonate. So as soon as it does, it's like a drop off point in your coil. When you resonate it, boom, it hits it quick, and it boom around the thing with the biggest electrons in the room. And then it just a boom, massive accumulation real fast, a real short, fast, compressive value put right on there, and boom, immediately hits out. A lot of people think frequency is resonance, and it's not, and they're missing the point. Two waves is resonance, not one. Frequency is not resonance. Okay, but once you have two oscillating with each other, anything that possesses that same resonance value or that same frequency value at that point of the two in resonance, that thing will then become resonant with the other two. So it's a whole big thing. If you don't understand your ways through each state, it's going to be hard to pull off because they're all different.
That makes sense. Well, I think in the same token, like when one thing that's like interesting, and you were talking about viscosity and density and stuff like actually playing a role in all that compression. One thing that's interesting is that when you're dealing with something like scalar, where it's more analogous to just a sound wave, it actually travels better the denser it is. So it kind of acts as sort of like a bottleneck, so to speak, to actually, if you're getting cancellation and you're going to end up, with a longitudinal waveform, it's never going to stop that longitudinal waveform, even if you deconstruct the transverse waveform.
You're saying it works better through viscosity?
Correct.
That doesn't sound right.
Oh, it's right.
So explain that, because I'm trying to understand it.
Sound
Because
waves,
every time,
the sound waves, which is scalar, okay, move less impeded the denser the material it moves through. Moves faster and less impeded.
well, hold on. So it moves faster in water than it does in air?
Yes.
Really? Do you ever see anything to prove that?
Moves faster through steel than it does through water. Moves faster through tungsten than it does through steel.
That's just sound, or is it something else?
Well, it's all vibratory oscillation, because that's all sound is. So, and the equation is actually interesting. And it's actually like a little bit of a talking fact that I had brought up before. What moves faster, sound or light? or I should say, what has the potential to move faster, sound, or light? The answer is sound, because technically the way that it works is the denser the material, the faster it goes up to infinity. So if you have something that's indefinitely dense and then you are able to project any sort of oscillation or sound scalar through it, it also moves at an infinite speed. Infinite density, infinite speed, infinite
Really?
clarity. It actually loses the less dense something is.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's worth knowing. It's one of those things where, but again, since it works similarly to like in an extra low frequency wave form, it is very unimpeded by things just generating, but it is affected by the density.
What's up, Ben?
Yeah, Ben.
Ben's got that hot new lab out there, man.
Yeah,
That
dude, I
thing is-
saw that in the video. It's looking great.
Oh, dude, he shows up in style now. He's like got his sunglasses on, man, and he's got a nice, cool lab coat, nice background color, dude. He's got his styling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Joe. I was waiting for this time. Oh my God, my back is killing me. We're still good for our bet, right?
Yeah, man. I'm on.
Okay, so check this out, guys. We're going to do a little bet between Joe and I. We got about 30 days to lose some weight, okay? I obviously need it. Joe had something he said he wanted to do it for. So let's do it together, right? But in all tradition and fashion of this type of show, we have to make a little competition out of it. So I had suggested that we eat something nasty with a lot of hot sauce to make ourselves puke or something that would be very bad, right? So Joe wanted to do like a hot wings thing, right? So we go back and forth on the just nasty sauces like this that just, I don't even know how the world I'm going to put up with one, more or less two. So what do you want to do, Joe? Do you want to do the competition, or do you just want to flat out blow some wings out and like cry our eyes out?
Well, I'm okay. So I'm doing it regardless. So
Right.
we could make it a competition if you want to join it.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't want to, then we're gonna wait a couple of weeks before we blow out wings, because that would defeat the purpose of what I'm trying to achieve.
Right.
So we're gonna be, the good news is we're gonna be doing the wing challenge thing regardless.
Okay.
Now, to sweeten the pot a little bit for our viewers, all right, what I guess we'll try and do is put a survey out to see who they think is going to win the competition. All right. And anybody that votes for the right person, we can enter into a raffle or something like that. And I'll send them like a nice chunk of quartz or something like that, make it interesting. Sign nude photo, whatever you're into,
Just get a new photo.
Uh,
Oh, only you, Joe. It cracked me up, brother.
hey,
No, dude,
whatever you're into.
I'll throw down on that. But, dude, I'll throw 1 megahertz Tesla coil in there with the Slayer exciter circuited for the winner. How about that?
Oh,
And then,
that's a big one. Fuck my piece of quartz, man.
yeah, let's just, whoever gets closest to, what does it got to be though? Like the winner, or the winner and the weight? Because there's going to be a lot of people on one side or the other, right?
I guess we could either have them guess a specific. Okay, they don't even know what the contest is yet. You do realize that, right?
I know I'm trying to do it.
Okay,
all, yeah.
we've done this out of sequence.
Yes.
All right. Scratch that. Start again. All right. I'm on a diet. I'm going to lose some weight before the summer because I'm tired of being fat. Nathan says he wants to join this endeavor.
Yes.
I guess what we can do is, you want to do, how long you want to go? You want to go 2 weeks or a month? 3
It's
weeks?
really up
compromise?
to- where do you think you need to be, Joe? And then we'll do it for that long.
I'd like to see how I'm doing after. Let's do 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay.
All right. So, who could lose? You want to go percentage or you want to go overall?
I would just say the amount of weight. Like
Okay.
it'd be easy
Yeah, let's
for
go
me
with
to
it that
lose
way.
weight. You know what I mean? Because I'm big and fat, so it would probably go down faster. So I don't know if you want to do that or not. Or you
I'm
could do
terrified.
percentages.
I'm a winner no matter what. I'm going to lose weight, eat chicken wings, and somebody's going to get a Tesla coil. This is a win-win-win situation across the board, you know? So,
So we'll stand on the scale, see what we each weigh, and then whoever has the biggest number drop is the winner. And
okay.
then
Well, I already know mine. So, and I'm already doing it. So I've got a jump start.
there you do. That'll give you that. And I'm moving a little slow right now because my back is trashed, so I won't be able to walk as much as I normally would. So you got an
right.
advantage.
It all balances out. You know, there's variables here. It's you know, it's like running your shit on a humid day. It just is what it is. You know, like, all right. So we're gonna put the survey up, I guess, to see who does it and raffle it, or you want to go for exact how much loss in 3 weeks?
Well, if we're going to give away only one call, then somebody's got to be a definitive winner. It can't be saying, "Oh, Joe's going to win" or "Nathan's going to win," right? They got to
Okay.
guess probably the amount of weight and the winner, right?
And the winner, right? Closest to. All right, let's go with it. All right.
Okay. And then all you got to do to get in is leave a comment in the description and say the number. Okay. And then we'll look at all those. Or you want to do it in the chat, or do you just want it on like the post that I put up for the challenge?
I'll tell you what. What we could do is we could put a community post out.
Mhm.
Okay. We could link the community post in the videos so people have an opportunity to do it. And you're just going to put Joe or Nathan and how much you think that we lost after all said and done.
Okay.
All right.
So we're only going to show the picture of us on the scale originally. So we're not lying, but then you don't get to see another number until it comes to the day. Is that all
Yep.
right?
I
Okay.
think that's the way it goes.
Okay, and then I'll write them down if you guys put it in the description. I can't do it during the chat during the show because I can't pay attention to all of it at once. But if you put it down in the description or when we do the post and you put it there, that's how you're in. And I'll record each one of them and put it up at the end of the show so everybody knows what your number is.
All right, sounds good. So I'll do an official weigh-in, and then on either Wednesday when you're on with Sean, or Saturday or Friday when we're on together, we'll officially launch the contest. But definitely something to look forward to. Tesla coils at stake, prides are at stake, and chicken wings. That's happening no matter what. That's not at stake.
That's right. So Joe says he has a real butt burner, sauce that he has, but it's really good.
Oh, yeah.
So do you want just one, or do you want like how many can you eat of the chicken wings with that sauce? Because you're used to it. So,
I mean, of that particular sauce, man, like, I could eat a couple, but it's not like it. After just a taste and the novelty of it, it gets a little unpleasant.
hey, look at Ben. They're using anti-gravity to change your weight.
I got it to work. I weigh nothing.
Oh, that was great.
Nathan lost 200 XX pounds.
Oh, that's outrageous, bro.
For real. Hey, you might have to scroll back in your messages for me a little bit. But on Friday, I had sent you like a short video. It's like 5 seconds long. I made it for Ben. I forgot to put it on when we were on Mike's channel.
I have no idea what it is. To be honest with you.
It's a picture of Tesla sitting down. It's a video though. So since Ben's here, let's. Ben said Tesla twerking. I couldn't get Tesla to twerk, but we'll see what I got him to do.
Oh, hey, real quick, I want to show this before I get there because I don't know, how to find it or anything. But Joe and I are working on T-shirts for the show, so I think we're just going to go with the OMB in the front, and then we'll work out the slogan on the back, and then we'll set them up for sale. So we have a couple of different slogans we've been going over, but I think this is a good start.
Yeah,
I think
that
so.
sounds hot.
Joe's got a cool couple designs in there with the different Tesla coil. So we'll show that one. What do you guys think of that? That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's Wardenclyffe.
Yeah. And there it is in the opposite, right?
Yep. That one has a different saying underneath it too.
Yeah. The whole reason I say walk your own path, because I say nothing that sounds like physics at all. I do it my own way. So, all right, let me look that up real quick, Joe. You said picture of...
Yeah, Friday night I sent it to you. It was like a picture of Tesla sitting down by the bifilar coil. You know the one.
Okay, hold on.
But it's a video. It's like 5 seconds long.
I think I found it.
All right.
Is there volume to it?
Nope. Should be. I should add music to it and extend it. Thanks, AI. I got Tesla to dance, bringing him back from the dead.
Oh, dude, it looks like
make him twerk though. I was trying to get him to twerk. That's what Ben said. So I was trying to make it funny, and it didn't work. But whatever.
You could put a headset on that guy, and it looked like Mike does. Okay. Just have him explain the holes again.
Yeah. Well, that is Mike Doug's logo, after all.
Oh my God, dude. All right, you know what? I was also talking to Joe about this. We need to do just a Star Trek Friends Think Tank one with Ben and stuff. And just something funny, man. Something that's hilarious with all of it. And Mike in the Holes would be the best seller. We'd have to take the proceeds and donate it to Mike and whatever he's doing in his adventures. But dude, that would be the best. 3-hole T-shirt, has Mike's face on there on the front. Yeah, I think we'd have to do that, man. Be like a community donation one.
I mean, I could think of of suggestive logos that that would be cool. I feel like the 3-hole T-shirt should have a blow-up doll on it, but who am I?
Oh, okay. The front has Mike's face. On the back, you see Ben bending over to play in the holes.
Oh my God. You said it, not me, brother.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. This is pants fall down. Yeah, we're going to have to do something like that.
Yeah, well, listen, the good thing about the T-shirts is that, if I'm not mistaken, they're made to order. Right?
Yeah.
So we can make all sorts of dumb T-shirts.
Yes, we can.
And people either buy them or they don't, right? I mean, I'll probably have one of each, but whatever.
Dude, I'd wear that 3-hole one proudly every time, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man. No joke.
That's like...
The one you made is awesome. That Tesla coil one, the Wardenclyffe, that thing is spot on. It's looking good, man. It's a nice little line you got.
Yeah. Good.
I was going to say the OMB logo is spot on.
Yeah. I like that in the front. Just something simple.
Yeah, man.
The Mike T-shirt. That's going to be like the hottest seller ever. You have the little mics around his head. It's just spinning. All right. We got to get that one going.
If it wasn't like full blown insulting to Jack Safardi, I would say we cartoonize his face with just a huge schmucks across the back because it's hilarious. But I don't know how we'd feel about that. Like, I feel like I might get a cease and desist on that one.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be amazing, though. He's got to be Admiral Jack. He's got to have the uniform on and everything.
With like his open mouth and the teeth.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. Yeah.
Oh,
Just draw it in like a caricature, you know, it's great.
put Gerald Circuit on there. Right on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
That fish says schmucks in space, yeah. To have
Yeah.
Jack Safardi's big cartoon head with like a spaceman outfit, you know what I mean? Like with the moon.
Oh, my, man.
The stuff we come up with.
All right, man. So chicken wings, we're gonna burn ourselves. So Joe, just figure out, some decently priced bottles of
Yeah,
death.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's no problem. We'll figure it out.
We'll just buy it at some sites. I'll buy it for the both of us, and then you just tell me what it is, and I'll have it shipped to you. That way we
Cool.
have it right before. And then how you make your wings, man, that's on you. You know what I mean? But the sauce has to go on the same way.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna do it. It's a virtual wing eating hot contest.
Dude, I'm seriously bringing a bucket to puke in. Dude, right on, man. Thank you for becoming a member, man.
Yeah, time, man.
Absolutely
Spot on,
amazing.
bro.
Yeah, dude, we are definitely doing that. So big bucket, probably some milk or something. I don't even know, yogurt. What do you do to stop the heat?
I don't know, man. You're a vagina. I just fucking eat it. Although I'll tell you what, man. So
Just water then?
I don't even know that I don't know. Okay. I did this one chip challenge one time, and literally I've never eaten anything hot enough to like make me have like problem. So I
Okay.
went into this one chip challenge thinking like it was, not going to be anything I couldn't handle. And all I could tell you is, first of all, the chip tasted and smelled like absolute garbage. It, like
Oh.
literally smelled like a sewer, which didn't help the situation. But I'll tell you what, it didn't really matter because I took one goddamn bite of that chip and like I had worlds of regret. Like name the regret. There was no consoling me. I had a frigging half gallon of ice cream in the freezer and it was gone. And I'm lactose intolerant. You know how bad it is to sit there and burn your intestines with like the hottest substance on the planet and then consume something that makes you go like, it was just a travesty. I had problems breathing. I became scared. Like it was all sorts of things. So
it was blowing right through your whole system, huh?
And guess what? I'm not doing it again. I'm too old for this shit.
He was riding the crazy train.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is gonna be so good.
Oh yeah.
Look, maybe Ben can help us out of being a judge on that day because I don't think either one of us are going to be able to talk. And I want Sean to come, but I don't know if he's going to be able to be there that day. Maybe.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to make it a party. Like after 3 weeks of whatever we're going to put ourselves through, we damn well deserve to eat wings like that. So.
Yeah, dude, I just want to hear Ben's laugh as we're dying. You know what I mean?
Amen, bro.
Because, look, dude, I literally can't eat hot things. Like. It really bothers me, and my face will turn red. I'm gonna start crying. I gotta pull my dentures out when I eat some of this stuff, dude. It's gonna be a whole S show, dude, big time. So yeah.
Only if he could dress like a wizard. Okay. Yes, but you need a fake beard. Like your facial hair just isn't long enough to go full wizard, so you need a fake beard. So yes. If that's the contingency on your end, I expect it done right, Ben. Amen. Good deal, bro. Hey, there you go.
Oh my
God.
God.
A wizard, man. I miss Victor. Like I don't think anybody's heard from Victor. I hope he's all right.
I messaged him several times. I haven't got nothing back.
Oh man. Well, isn't that the internet for you sometimes? I hope he's all right.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be fun. Okay, we're gonna have lots of people laughing and having a good time that day, man. So I don't know what else we're going to talk about because it's only going to take me very short time to burn my face off. And look, I'm a trooper. I'm going to hang in there. Is whatever ones you do, I'm doing, no matter if I'm dying.
There's no way that we could discuss the stuff we regularly do and do this. I mean, it'd be interesting. It'd be a first.
Oh man, we put together a little promo on the hot sauce. Oh, I don't know, dude.
Right.
Yeah, I
Fringe
guess.
science, quantum mechanics, and pain. I'm in.
Oh man, maybe we should have to recite stuff as we eat the chicken wings, man. It's like a short phrase from Tesla or somebody, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And see if you could do it. Because you got to make it a little more fun than just burning your face off.
I could drink.
Well, what could I? But that ain't gonna help nothing.
I feel like take this one down. If you saw it, you saw it. Anyway.
I think that's just going to be an amazing show, man. I think everybody's going to be into it, man. We'll have to keep hyping it up. I'll send out a message several times, man, letting everybody know we're going to be doing chicken wing challenge. So,
oh, listen, right, and just remember, if that's not incentive enough, there is a Tesla coil on the line. So, if you want one of Nathan's Tesla coils, yeah, you're going to want to be in on this.
yeah. Be awesome, man. Throw the PMP on there, man, and let that sucker run. It'll jump out 3-4 feet for you, no problem whatsoever. Turn all day at 40 volts. So that thing's a monster, man. Yeah, they're gonna love that.
Yep. All right.
Oh man. So we'll do that. Hook that up. Man, we got some cool stuff. Did you catch that interview that I did with 8 and M?
Yes, I did, and I was talking to Nathan about that today, and I thought that was really cool. Great perspective.
The direction we went, man, she was okay with me asking 500 questions, and I just rolled them out one after another, man. She was awesome about it, man, and had really good answers and things that, honestly, when you look at it, everything fits into, what we say, what we talk about. What the trip was for me is the moon being a space base. You know what I mean? I'm like tripping out because you see all the hollow moon theories out there, stuff like that. And that was just like a smack right in the face, like, hello, time to wake up. And I don't think I had enough good questions after that. I was kind of in shock.
I mean, I think that watching it back, I was just in shock the whole route that it took. I mean, I want to say, like, well, nothing would surprise me after some of the stuff we talk about and some of the stuff that we, have heard. But I heard that and it like connected all the right dots at all the right places. And just from this first person perspective, where it's like this is beyond like some subjective experience or whatever. This is like from a first person perspective. And the way that I put it to Sinner when we were talking about it was, it's sort of like whenever you're born or as you develop through your life, we all have like a veil that exists, right? And like her veil was just very clearly super thin and/or non-existent. Like it transcends ascension and knowing your higher self all the way to like knowing your higher self, like on a actual personal intimate level. And it's just like this sort of thing. It's complete veil removal, so to speak. And I was just blown away by that.
Yeah, dude, we were definitely missing you that day.
Yeah.
Like we all kind of said it, afterwards. I wish you were there, man, because you would have loved it too, being there and asking different questions of me. But they said they were up to doing it again, Joe. So I look forward to that, and then we have Liz coming up this week. So she said she would do it. I've been wanting to get back with her for 4 or 5 weeks now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, because the whole thing with that pyramid thing, man, she went red hot on her channel, gained like 2,000 subscribers like instantly. and was rocking it out, man. She's like the expert over there on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no,
So,
really, really great stuff that she was doing on her channel, and she's a friend of the show, and it's awesome to have her back. And I know I've been talking to Sinner also, who he knows so many interesting people with
oh yeah,
like all these like incredible life experiences, but also like huge baselines of knowledge. And he was put me onto this guy Andrew that he knows, and Andrew wants to come on the show as well. And he shared with me briefly, sort of, what he's all about, and saying that, um, you know, he didn't really like he was having experiences that he really couldn't explain, and then he like was led down the path of organites, and actually discovering the organites brought everything into perspective for him as far as the things that he had experienced previously. So I'm just interested in hearing that side of it too from him. And my understanding is that he also makes organites the same as Sinner does. So it's we're going down the road again a little bit, and just getting
well,
people and their experiences out there for everybody.
he also had one other lady that he wanted to bring on, and I can't remember her name, but she wanted to come in, and she was talking about the third. Is it third in the Egyptian? What do they call that again?
Right, the third era.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, Eighth is like booking people to our show like all day. So I think we just, dude, anytime he has a guest, I'll premiere it on Saturday and I'll come in and do a live show with it. And we'll see if Bernie wants to tap into that, man, when I do it. I know you'll be off that day doing your own thing, but I'll see if Bernie will do it with me and we'll just do the live because he loves all this stuff too. And there's a lot of people on his channel that are into organites and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Be a cool cross stream.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely. And yeah, getting Bernie involved in all this stuff. I mean, by the way, a lot of what we started this episode out today with this whole virtual particle or virtual matter situation was like the spark of thought came from combining what Nathan is doing with what Bernie is doing. Because Bernie is actually doing this with matter, breaking it down to the atomic level. And he's doing that with these forces, and then having the accumulations and precipitations of it occur in an enclosed environment that is, and obviously it's a little different because he has the material in there to break down into that form. But he seemed pretty on board with the fact that this is analogous as well, and that if done properly, that this is something that could potentially be matter creating. So, it was worth exploring, but it drew inspirations from exactly both sides of it. It was just about connecting the dot, because at the end of the day, the science is the same.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. I think that'd be a perfect tie-in there. I'm just excited, man, because we went around the block with everybody that we interview, and then we go back, and it just keeps hitting me on the side of the head what Liz kept saying. It's a combination law, and resonance is how they are making all of their technology work. And I keep having it ringing in my head because every new thing we discover, each comes right back to it. Like, how do you justify plasma coming out of something that has nothing attached to it and it's only resonating? I mean, where's the energy come from? It obviously has.
Right. It comes through dumping the resonance into a form of accumulation is what it comes down to. It's
making it resonate.
Plasma has to form in some relation with existing matter. Either that or it doesn't, right? Doesn't matter. So since it needs that, it's an accumulation of whatever free molecules are available, whether it's nitrogen or hydrogen or whatever it's drawing in from the atmosphere. In space, it could just be space dust, or it could be loose energy potentially, or whatever have you, if it's in space. But what you might notice is that you could see different plasmatic features in different galaxies and things like that. But it's all relative to the matter within the solar systems of that galaxy. So, like these clouds of plasma and stuff that you see, it's charged particles at the end of the day, or the constituents of charged particles.
And they just accumulate together because of the charge.
Yep, because it's attracted to itself the same as everything else is, right? It's attracted to itself, and it's self-organizing.
That's awesome.
Yep. Pretty cool.
Let's see. You guys need to go over the foundational of what resonance is and how it works in a material system. I 100% agree with that. And one of the things I've been working on behind the scenes is putting together a video on all of the resonance I've been working with and going from one state to the next state to the next state, trying to follow the path. So I'm up to, we have one wire energy, that whole thing that goes in there. We also have the multiple Tesla coils resonating without any wires attached, stuff like that. Now I'm going to go into the layers of resonance. So I'm trying to make it one just good video that shows every single aspect of it and push the whole understanding of a Tesla coil beyond what you thought it was. Just like push it out there so you go, oh my God, how did you find so much stuff in one little device we make as a sparkler that you're getting all this? And I'm trying in the best way that I possibly can to put it together as professionally as I can. I mean, whoever I got to bring in, man, to get that done right, because I want it as clean as possible. I don't want it just standing in the garage. I want to kind of go outside, do some testing out there, stuff like that. So that's what I've been working on. I've gotten the test. Now I'm going to take my table in here, flip it. Joe and I talked about painting the garage door, have a nice clean look, background behind it, do all the tests on a nice, beautiful table, and just have a better video out of it.
Yeah, man. When you paint that door, it's going to end up looking like an A10 Warthog was parked in your garage as your backdrop, Thing's cool.
Yeah, dude, just like a grayish with a little bit of green in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, get that red color.
Then, a little bit of yellow in there for some caution tape, kind of, little zone area you got to be away from. That's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Huh. Way your doctor stuff. Yeah, I don't have anything like Ben does, man. I'll have a cool, lab coat. That lab coat would have to be like stitched up exercise for that. That wouldn't be fun. So, no, but I won't show up in a hoodie either. You know what I mean?
It's going to be a schmuck smock.
Yeah, but I think people are going to trip out just the different things that it can do. So, yeah. Anyway, well, is there anything else going on, Joe?
I mean, that's about it for me. Kind of in starvation mode, which is depriving my brain cells of the ability to function properly at the moment. But I got through almost 2 hours of this, which is pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Keep on keeping on.
Thank you for coming in, man. My back is trashed. Like,
I'm glad.
Well, I'm not happy it's bad, but I'm glad you came in. So, dude, I was just sitting here with my leg up, and I twisted just slightly, and then boom, something compressed, and then it was done, dude. And I couldn't sleep in the bed, nothing. I went out, sat in my recliner here in my garage. Man, it was the only thing that I could do, and then getting out of it was just so painful. And it's not the first time I've dealt with it, man, and it's not going to be the last. But God, does it suck? So
Yeah, I'm sorry, man, and I hope you feel better soon, make a full recovery, and get back at it, and time heals all wounds and such. So just give yourself that, and, don't overwork it.
yeah.
I'll tell you what. One more plan for the future. This summer, we will plan a virtual Old Man Builds barbecue. Nathan and I will, we'll grill something up or whatever have you. We'll do it that way too.
Oh, dude, we could do a barbecue. Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
that's what I'm saying. We'll do a virtual barbecue or something. I think that would be fun. I don't know that that's ever been done. We'll do that.
You throw on something on your side, I throw something on mine.
That's it. Get it going. Hang out.
Dude, I do barbecue well. I know what I'm doing there.
Mhm.
It don't matter if it's gas or charcoal either. So
Yeah,
Hey,
we'll
guys.
have to figure out and have a little surprise with it. See what we're making.
Oh yeah. Hey guys, Joe here. This is link right here in the chat for everybody to sign up. So a hot dog off, grilled plasma.
Right, we lose all this weight. We end up having a hot dog eating contest. That'd be a disaster.
Oh,
We'd get back on the scale again and be like, "Gonna send the Tesla coil back. Somebody else's right now."
oh
They both lost -2 pounds.
yeah. Well, dude, we'll have to do something like that because that's cool.
Yeah,
Because a lot of it comes down to technique and what you're doing and what you're cooking. I mean, and what kind of stuff you bring to the table, whether you bring butcher paper or not, you know what I mean? Whether you just do it in foil, you know what I mean?
well,
Two
it's
little,
all the best. Make it
two
work no
little,
matter what, man. I've been barbecuing since I'm a little kid, all by myself.
yeah, I'm there with you, man. I took it up a while back. I was watching that Barbecue Pit Masters.
Oh yeah, nice.
And, oh, dude, that was like the best show. It was like, how do you learn little tips and stuff like that? And I still make my Thanksgiving turkey the same way that one lady did on there,
Nice.
where I take all the dark meat in there and I get all the drippings from it. And it has all the stuff that you put onto it right there. I take all the dark meat after I pick it apart, put it back in it, roll it in a little bit. You know what I mean? Get all the flavor sucked back into it. Dude, that's the best turkey ever.
Oh man, I got a lot of great turkey tricks, man. Turkey's been my specialty for a long time. And it's funny because even on an oven bird, you know, I figured ways to like cook it properly. Well, like one of the best ways is actually upside down. So the dark meat's up because then you get all this self-basting going on, and because the breast cooks faster than the dark meat does, like that trick in itself is like a really, really good for what it's worth.
So the turkey's sitting on its head, and
Well,
all the
I've
juices
done
are
it that
flowing
way
down.
too, and that works well. But like upright, like kind of like a beer can chicken, except a full bird, full turkey. But if you cook it breast side down and then you just flip it and finish your skin off at the very end,
Oh,
yeah. And if you
no.
don't brine your bird, then it's dry, terrible. And if you overcook it, then you're not my friend.
Yeah.
Either that or pull out the mayonnaise so you make some turkey salad, because turkey salad pretty damn good. Not gonna lie.
Dude, I haven't burnt that or dried out the turkey breast in a long time.
Oh
man.
yeah. No, once you get the knack of it, that's it. Like you never screw up a turkey again.
Dude, I cut mine up before I even put it in the oven. I cut off the thighs. You know what I mean? I keep the thigh and the leg together, cut off the wing, put it all together. That's all the dark meat pan. And then the two turkey breasts go together by themselves. So, yeah, And then you could go old school trickery, man. Throw an extra layer on the turkey breast. You know what I mean? A little bit, because you don't necessarily need the skin for the thighs, so you can put it over top the breast as an extra layer right there. But put lemon in between it; it comes out with a nice, fresh, vibrant flavor. Just some little trickery, you know what I mean? Little butcher paper over it. Sometimes, if you want to, you got to keep that moisture in there. Make sure you hit it with a couple shots with your, you know what I mean, baster thing. You know what I mean?
That's
Get it
it.
in there nice and good. Put some butter in there a little bit.
Yeah, man. Oh, like 2 years ago, I got asked by my now ex-girlfriend's friend, if I could make their Thanksgiving turkey for their Friendsgiving. And I had already been at this point, by the time of this Friendsgiving, I had already cooked 4 turkeys for the Thanksgiving holiday between everything that we had going on. So I was like, I don't mind, but like, it's, whatever. She's like, tell me how to do it. Okay, no problem. Tell her exactly step by step what I do. I even showed her kind of on the spot because she was at mine earlier, and I got a call from her that it was done. And I was like, how long has it been in there? She's like, yeah, like an hour and change. I was like, how big is the bird? She tells me, I was like, no, it's not. She's like, no, it says it's done. It looks done. I was like, okay. We get there. And she's like, all right, it's time to cut it. Now, there's tons of people at our house, all waiting to eat, all waiting for the turkey. The thing was totally raw, totally raw. And she looks at me. I'm like, all right, I got this. I'll figure it out. I have to cook this bird from raw in like 30 minutes because like everything else is getting cold. People are starving, whatever. So what I end up doing is I make like this like super like rich kind of like stock, and I put it in the biggest pot I've ever seen in my life, with like all herbs and this and that. And I put a steamer tray in there real quick. I crank that puppy up, throw the lid on, stack shit on top of the lid to keep all the steam on to get this thing to pressure cook, because how else am I going to cook it from raw in 30 minutes? Yeah, and not dry it out. I get this thing fully cooked, and I'm like, okay, time to like do corrective surgery on this. I take all that broth brine solution that I took, start injecting the shit out of the thing, and then I sat there with a heat gun and a blowtorch, getting the skin nice and crisp.
Nice.
And then I was like, all right, half-hour bird, let's see. It was good. It was not my bird. I did not do this. But I'll tell you what, if you ever need to make a whole entire turkey in like 40 minutes flat, that's how you do it. So
wow.
Thing was totally raw. Like totally raw. It was a quarter inch under the skin. It was raw. Like that was it. I was like, what? And I kept on saying, I was like, can you move the thermometer? Can you poke it another spot? She said she did. I don't really know what happened, but that was the deal.
Wow. Should have just told her, put it back in there. We'll be there in a bit.
Yeah. Right. Well, that was the whole caveat to it was she didn't want to wait another 3 hours for it to get done. So, and damn, when I do it on the smoker, man, like the turkey takes solid 6 hours to do a good size one, on a smoker.
Oh, yeah, dude, I use an offset smoker. So, dude, those things are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You get that nice, beautiful smell and everything in there. You go in, depending on the wood you like, stuff like that. Never let it drop below temperature, but you gotta have it just right before you put in the sauce and everything. And then make sure, no matter what you do when you cook, the salt goes on last, because they're crystals, obviously, so they dissolve. Then you won't get flavor out of them. So you have to make sure that part goes on last. I think that's where a lot of people get messed up. It's like cooking eggs and putting it in right away. Doesn't work.
Yeah, I get it. I think that I make sure, like for me, I salt and season at different strategic points. It's sort of my process. Different methods, and I know a lot of them. And for me, I know what kind of works, but it always boils down to preference with that stuff. Like that's always what it comes down to, because as much as I like something with like that's beautifully smoked, nice, and just eat it plain smoked, I also like something with barbecue sauce on it that I made some nice barbecue sauce. I also like something that's got a nice rub on it that you go in with that North Carolina style vinegar sauce. You just dip in seasoned vinegar. And that's to me, that's my favorite kind. You smoke some pork with a nice crust on it, and then friggin', that's the way. But
But
we'll have to do that. Something else to look forward to. Well, if we plan it out in advance, maybe we could have a few other people join us. We could just have a party with it.
oh yeah, that'd be cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We'll have to figure something out. They got that Tesla tech coming up soon, Joe, in
Yeah.
what is it, September.
Saw that in Albuquerque.
Yeah, if things go right, man, we can hang out there. You know what I mean? I don't know how personal situations go, but if I could swing it, man, I'll do it.
Yeah, same here. If I could swing it, I'll do it. That's cool. I would have really liked to go to Cosmic Summit. They're gonna have some cool speakers there too, and I bet you it's not even too late to throw together a presentation. The whole thing is, I mean, the weekend's very expensive.
Mm.
Like there, it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars for like a ticket. Plus, you got to get there, plus the hotel and everything, and it's 3 days. So it's like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, man, that's like a vacation cost.
Like a $1,200 or $1,400 trip, right?
Yeah, probably at least if I had to guess, at least because I think this not the lowest, but definitely not the highest tickets. I think they're like $400 or $500 for like, they give you breakfast, you get meet and greets, and that sort of thing. Now if you're a presenter, I don't know what the deal is. And like I said, I don't think it's too late if you wanted to throw together a presentation and make it, to actually be able to do that. But yeah, I don't know.
No, I'd wait. I'll be honest with you. Next year's is more my style. It'd be if I'm going to present something, I'm going to have all of it together and perfected before I do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that your radiant energy experiments and the cold energy, one wire energy, I think that's perfect. If you could just display it where you could show it going through ground and getting that extended range out of it, I think that's golden.
Yeah, be a way to do it. Just want to say hi to Mike out there. He's popped in. So did Lulu and Crypto.
Yep.
So,
Hey everybody, good to see you. Oh yeah, I also wanted to. Well, Bernie's in here. I wanted to congratulate him on becoming one step closer to being an American. I've heard that Alberta is contemplating cutting their ties. So, congratulations, freedom, America.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have a whole bunch of Canadians become Americans, huh?
That's it.
That's funny. Oh man, you guys missed it. Joe and I in 3 weeks, Joe, you say? We're doing wings.
3 weeks, wings. And the contest for the free Tesla coil.
Yes. So we have a wing eating competition with hot sauces on them. See who can survive it. Coming up in 3 weeks. And then we also made a competition on some weight loss. And, we're going to give away a Tesla coil at the end of it to see who gets closest to the number of pounds that we lose and who won. So that's going to be pretty awesome, man. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Tesla Tech is in August. And I'll finish that pink one, by the way, that pink Tesla coil. So in case, a woman wins, she can win that one. Maybe we'll just do the good one, dude. I'm just going to put out the big Tesla coil I got. I'm just going to go for it. You know what I mean? Either whoever wins, dude wins it. So I would do ZBS too, but I'd have to send you a oscilloscope with it so you'd understand it. So yeah, tell your exciter it is, man. You'll be able to rip it up.
I love it, bro. This is exciting. These are big times. Actually, small times. after 3 weeks, if it ain't small times, then I've wasted my time.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna find out whose diet plan works too, man. Because I think I've figured it out, even though I'm super fat. So we'll see if I did it right. So all I gotta do is get my body to get in there and work with it.
Good deal. Yeah, so Bernie's starting the Alberta for America AFA party. Yeah, bro. Hey, listen, you should do it, but I think I think that's already in motion, man. I don't know. That's what I've been hearing stateside, at least. Maybe I'm getting propagandized, but
Maybe.
yeah, it's possible. But that's what I've been hearing.
Oh man, that's a trip. Yeah, I'd say, man, get all of Canada in here, but then again, we're not exactly straightened out ourselves, so at
Yeah.
least you won't have a
Well,
Trudeau or.
yeah, listen, I always say there's nothing wrong with throwing more garbage in the dumpster fire. You know what I mean? Just keep it burning, baby.
Oh, add a bunch more liberals to our United States.
Oh
That's
yeah, I've
not a
contemplated
good
that.
idea.
That's why I left the rest of Canada out. I just mentioned Alberta.
Just
That and Bernie's from Alberta, and that's where it's going on. So,
oh man, we're gonna have to include Brandon's little island over there. See if we can't get him to go too.
oh yeah, right. Then we could have lots of like salmon and stuff, baby seals or whatever they do over there.
Dude, that's hilarious, bro. All right, man. Oh, I'm about to die sitting in this seat.
Yeah, I can tell, man. Yeah, you got a stretch or something. I don't know.
Dude, it's even worse. Like you make a slightest move and then your whole body hurts because it's your back. So it's connected to everything.
Yeah. No, listen, I've been there, done that, and I don't envy you. That's for certain. Not today, sir. But there's one thing I'll say that I'm somewhat blessed about at this point is I've had problems that were pretty severe in the past and like pretty chronic in the past, and I've been able to overcome them, which is crazy. So like I'm blessed in that sense because honestly, I was in a hole with my friggin' legs up, like yeah, kind of like a fag in this hole, busting out fucking rocks in between my legs with a goddamn hammer yesterday in a fucking mud pit and twisting around because like I'm a total knucklehead. I never have my tools like within arm's reach. That's why like I need people. And I'm looking at my dog and he's looking at me like, ooh, what? You want me to give you something? I'm like, no, ass, like let me just grab this from back there, twisting all around. Man, there was a point in my life where that would have crippled me, and I woke up this morning and I felt genuinely okay. So I don't know. It's it's bending over and hurting myself like just sounds really awful, and I don't envy that. So just be careful with yourself, brother.
Well, I'm hoping a couple days and it'll pass. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I know. Can't undo what's happened. You broke your back twice. So
yeah. Just gonna have to live with it now. Oh well. Get over it, man. But I think that's gonna be great, the wings, dude. I keep coming back to that because I know it's just gonna be horrifying.
don't take your mind off your back.
Dude, yeah. It's gonna be burning because like we both have beards, right? So that stuff is gonna be like in the beard, sticking and hitting the face, and yeah, it's not. That's not going away quick.
Real. Like that's beard life for you, man. Like I know.
Well, and then you have teeth. I don't. So, like to eat, I have to take these bad boys out. Yeah. So now it's like gums hitting immediately to the flavor, and it's gonna be like 10 times worse.
Bro, if you bruise your gum on one of them bones, you're gonna be in a world of shit. Get like a little hairline cut in your gums. It's done.
I might have to tear it apart a little bit before I bite it, but that's okay. Oh man, that's gonna be bad. It's just gonna be a funny sight to see me pull my teeth out to eat some fucking chicken wing. Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right, guys, I think that's about it. Hey, if you guys get a chance, pop on that link for Joe and let's get him out mining again. Want to see him out getting some more cool stuff out there. Again, I want to thank you for coming out and helping me out today, Joe. It's been awesome, brother. Thank the chat. You guys have been awesome. It's cool to see everybody in on this, man, and we're going to get this going. Tempt you guys a little bit with some Tesla coil tests here soon. You know what I mean? Make sure the prize is good. And then, oh, God, I can't wait to see what Joe finds for every sauce because I know I'm going to hate every one of them, like ingrained in my brain when we do this. And then,
well, yeah, so there's a few sauces that I have that I'll suggest to you that you could just grab and it's easy enough. We'll do it just like the show where it starts off sort of like enjoyable. And then it will remain enjoyable for me as you progressively work your way to misery. And then when we end up at the end, we'll both have some regret. And that's it.
I think I'll have more regret for like days until it's out of my system.
Listen, one of the last ones that I made, I put like a couple of drops into an entire pot of like this Jamaican stew I was making. And for me, it was very hot. 2 drops, entire pot of stew. Very, very hot. For the other person that was eating with me, it was intolerably hot. Couldn't eat it. 2 drops.
Now we'll see, man. I'll hang in there.
Yep.
All right, man.
All right.
Play the credits.
Peace and love.
The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.